the Northern Hemisphere, spring will soon be upon us. And that means there's a lot of people thinking about getting into riding motorcycles. And let me be the first to say, congratulations, you've made an excellent decision. Now, if you're here in the United States, hopefully you've not only looked into, but hopefully have already booked the basic rider course for the Motorcycle Safety Foundation. While it's not a requirement, they do teach you a lot of basic skills in a nice classroom environment. You know, they'll take you from learning nothing the first day, and then at the end of the weekend, you're pretty much just cruising around freaking in a parking lot like it's nothing. Which honestly, if you've never been on a bike before, I highly recommend doing that. And then once you get that sorted out, maybe it's time to start looking for a motorcycle. That dream motorcycle you've always wanted. And there's a whole plethora, a whole wide world of motorcycles out there, all different sizes, different configurations, depending on what you want to do. Honestly, what you should get kind of depends on what you're into. You know, because I've got a lot of people, when you think about, a beginner motorcycle, you think, oh, it's got to be small, it's got to be slow, it's got to be a piece of crap, ugly. No, I don't think so. I mean, you can, if you just want something to learn on. I mean, heck, the first motorcycle I ever bought was an 85 Nighthawk 450 that I do not have a picture of. That thing was kind of a beater, man. I paid $500 for it. Dropped it a whole bunch of times, but I learned how to handle a motorcycle. And honestly, that thing never left the neighborhood, because I never bothered to get it titled or plated or anything. Because honestly, it would have cost more than the plate was worth. But just because it's your first bike doesn't mean you can't be happy with it. Because honestly, whatever you get, you're going to be happy with, at least for a little while. And when you do start your search, honestly, there's a couple things I'd recommend. First, is figure out what you want to do. Do you want something you can commute on in the city, and then maybe in the weekends go out on like a trail out in the woods or something? Do you want to do what I'm doing, just kind of cruising back roads? Do you want to go super fast like that sporty bike guys? I mean, there's options out there for everybody, but if you're like me, if you're a little cruiser boy, I highly recommend the Honda Shadow 750. And honestly, that's not just because I own one, because honestly, I never planned on keeping this motorcycle as long as I have. Because it turns out it's really fun to ride, it's light, it's easy to throw around. It's got enough power, it can keep up with traffic pretty much anywhere in the United States. Even when I'm romping on this thing and beating on it, it's still 50 miles to the gallon, at a minimum. Heck, sometimes I'm pushing almost 60. I'm into this, cruising back roads and just being comfortable, just having a good time. Not in any kind of rush. Couple little twisties here and there. Nothing super exciting. I mean, this is still fun. This is kind of what it's all about for me, anyway. One thing I do really like about the Shadow 750 is the particular model I got, the Arrow, is actually shaft drive, which means there's no chain to lube, no chain to freaking worry about stretching out, wearing out. As long as I change like the diff oil every now and again, I mean, I'm pretty sure this bike will run forever, because I have not been kind to this thing. I've beaten the ever-loving crap out of this thing. It gets oil changes, and that's kind of all I do with it. I mean, in Honda's reliability, I mean, come on, that's like kind of what they're famous for. And I'm not saying other bikes in this category, okay? I'm not saying they're not reliable. I'm not saying don't go buy a Harley if you want a Harley. If you have to have a Harley, you want something similar to this, probably that 883 Sportster. And honestly, you could probably do a 1200 if you really wanted to. If you didn't want the Shadow, you could go with like a Yamaha 650. And these are all cruisers, by the way. The Suzuki Boulevard, the C50, the Vulcan 900. They're all kind of in that same general area. You know, they're not super heavy bikes either. This one's like 550 pounds. Not with me on it, because I'm a little fatty. But it's a decent weight where the wind doesn't push you around too much. Heavy winds, yeah, you're going to feel it. Compared to like a bigger bike, you're going to feel it. The other plus side about these things is they're cheap. I mean, heck, you can get a used... If you pay more than $3,000 US for a used Shadow 750... No, I'm not talking like... Okay, it's what, 2025? I'm not saying a 2024 you're going to find for $3,000. That ain't going to happen. But if you're talking about one that's like 10 years or older... Dude, if you pay more than $3,000, you're getting ripped off. I ain't even gonna lie to you. The main reason for that is they made a ton of these things, which is great too, because it means there's parts are everywhere. But lucky Ace's 750cc doesn't feel like it's enough. The internet told me that I need a 2000cc giant Harley Davidson that costs $40,000. And honestly, if that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I mean, honestly, doesn't. I mean, you want to spend that much, knock yourself out. But you got to remember, though, you're talking about your first motorcycle. I wouldn't do it. But what about the highway? 750 cc's isn't enough for the highway. If you're a bigger person and you got a bigger person riding with you and you want to carry 500 pounds worth of luggage with you, yeah, this bike is not going to be your number one choice. But if you just want to take a trip somewhere, not carrying a lot of stuff with you, I mean, this thing will run 75 miles an hour all day. She'll do highway. Because honestly, if you wanted to, you could kind of keep the Honda Shadow 750 forever. And if you need some convincing on that, you can check this video out right here. As always, y'all be good. See ya.